What if deadly disease outbreaks keep happening not because we lack scientific knowledge, but because leaders choose to ignore the people who understand these diseases best? Diseases such as Ebola, Mpox, and polio affect millions of lives worldwide. This topic is important because Oyewale Tomori's work shows that when governments prepare and listen to scientists, outbreaks can be controlled. But when they fail to act, public health crises become much more dangerous. Today, I will explain the history of Professor Tomori's work, the positive impacts of his contributions to public health, and the negative challenges he continues to warn us about. Let's begin with Tomori's history. Oyewale Tomori has built a career spanning more than 50 years, studying infectious diseases and advising governments on epidemic preparedness. He has been involved in real-world health crises, including Ebola outbreaks, and he continues to warn leaders about the dangers of repeating their past mistakes. In his academic article, Tomori asks, "Will Africa's future epidemic ride on forgotten lessons from the Ebola epidemic?" This shows that he has spent decades reflecting on outbreak response and trying to help the world learn from previous failures. This quote demonstrates that Tomori is not just a scientist studying theory, but someone who has lived through global health emergencies and uses his experience to guide future action. Now that we understand his background, let's examine the positive impacts of Tomori's work. One of the greatest contributions has been strengthening awareness about the importance of strong health systems. He has consistently argued that prevention is much more effective than reacting after an outbreak has already spread. His advocacy has helped encourage governments and organizations to invest in disease surveillance, vaccines, and healthcare infrastructure. According to a World Health Organization article, Tomori stated, we cannot afford to be caught unaware again. Vigilance and investment in public health systems are non-negotiable." This statement highlights his leadership and his determination to make global health a priority. This shows that Tomori's influence extends beyond just science. He challenges leaders, educates the public, and continues to push for smarter policies. Even after decades of work, he remains committed to protecting communities and preventing future crises. Despite Tomori's efforts, there are still challenges connected to his work. One major issue is that the governments often ignore scientific warnings. The failure to act allows diseases to return and spread, even when prevention is possible. Tomori has expressed frustration over this ongoing cycle. In a 2024 article, Tomori warns neglected Mpox resurges with virulence in Africa. Will this be another neglected warning? This quote shows that his concerns are still relevant today. It also highlights how frequently expert advice is overlooked until it's too late. The negative impact here is not caused by Tomori, but the systems that refuse to listen to experts like him. His work shows that knowledge without action cannot protect people. At this point, I want to briefly show my visual aid. I made a visual aid about Oyewale Tomori, and it's an infographic. Here we have the positive impacts that he's had in the world, his disease awareness, his advocating, and his influence in the World Health Organization. A little bit about his history and his career. He's worked from the 1970s to the present. He's had a 50-year career, which is really long, and he's still working. And then over here are some of the challenges that he's faced. The government's just ignoring his scientific warning and all the outbreaks and diseases he's had to deal with. To conclude, today I explained the history of Oyewale Tomori's work, the positive impacts of his contributions to public health, and the negative challenges he continues to face. We learned that Tomori's dedication has lasted over 50 years. He studied academics, and his work has strengthened global awareness and disease prevention efforts, and that ignoring scientific warnings remains one of the greatest dangers to public health. Oyewale Tomori's career proves that science can save lives, but his work also sends a powerful message. Knowledge alone is not enough. Change only happens when leaders choose to listen, act, and invest on the wisdom in those working to protect humanity. Leaders must choose to follow those who know best so that the world can be a better place.